How do I look in this video? I look terrible, do I? What can I say? I just got up and my sleep has been very rough. Because if this kind of situation that I'm in, where I gonna to sleep somewhere, just this struggle that I've been kept in. Despite all these issues that I'm having, let me show you where I do spend time, or where do I sometimes choose to spend time. Just to give you an example, to calm your mind or to calm yourself down. The reason why I do these things is just to maybe encourage you, so that way when you're feeling down, when you're feeling low, choose to go somewhere on your own, but make sure you know where you're going and you know what's there, and you make sure that you come back as well safe and sound. So don't go beyond your limits, all right? But thank you for allowing me to share this with you right now. Okay. Well, now we may try to enjoy our cup of tea. Before I ever share anything, before I ever want to say something, I just wanted to make sure that I've been using my mobile phone for recording most of the time. And I do sometimes spend some time on my laptop, you know. And I've been, like, how can I say? Been sleeping in the car. I've been staying in the car. Like, it's like living in the car, you know what I mean? Just some of those issues where I don't like to discuss right now while I'm on this phone or this camera that I'm holding right now. I sometimes sound very tired, to be honest. Very, very tired. Because I've dealt with some issues were difficult to accept it from some people because of that kind of situation that I was in before. But yeah, I don't want to talk about anything else, to be honest. And though I may be sometimes speaking about some topic which I do not wish to discuss, and the more I speak, I may sometimes straight away speaking accordingly as what is written. So that's sometimes which I want to remind myself. The words that I've shared with you, and if I ever recited some, or if I've ever shared any words which were written in the Bible, that which I want to make sure that if not only just the Bible that I read, that way you think I don't just study, like, although I do sometimes, to be honest, I try not to focus on anything else, but just to heal myself. I've even tried to heal myself through the environment, which I once struggled before where I used to be, but now it's like I'm choosing where to go and what to do sometimes, and carefully observing and what I'm listening to, what I'm watching as well, what I'm seeing. I've broke away from some habits which were consuming me, and as we were growing up when we were young and how we used to live, because nobody cares, to be honest. No one will ever there to come and advise you, although we were advised by certain people, but their advice was limited. They've spoken it, although some people understood, but I'm talking about when I was young, like young in my teenage, and that which I want to say, there wasn't much, how can I say, it wasn't much knowledge, but people did understand. Some people did know, and that which what they wanted to do is to keep us as a group somewhere, like far from knowing and understanding the true reality of how life should be and what it's all about. But that doesn't matter. That should be done. I'm gonna just put that on the side because I'm not talking about everybody else that had the influence upon our lives. And me, and I'm speaking on behalf of some of my friends who I still look up to, and they know me. Once they hear me, they'll understand. But I would say this situation that I was in, that I kind of had to even heal. I tried, if I ever was seeking treatment, the treatment without which I was left with, to be honest, like a bad treatment. Like if there were a time when if it was a health concerning matter, we wasn't given the right treatment. Just keep that in mind. Just the way how everything gets to be out. But I tried on my own through God Almighty and how He kept me informed. I also tried to heal through food that I was eating, and I want you to be careful when I've also, if I'm ever sharing this, so that way you don't get to do what I do, and you go there and without you knowing what to do, you might ruin your appetite. You might even cause much more health problems. So just be careful. Don't just whatever makes you feel well, whatever you've been used to, like whatever that you know, just do it in a way and only in a way where it will only make you feel well, make you feel like better for the day. I'm not trying to give you an advice to go and try to do some sort of scientific uh, research or do something like. Be careful. I'm telling you, you may be even studying for this. Just be careful. It's got to do with the people who know much more than you. And if I ever wanted to advise you of how you would treat yourself, better to seek advice than going to do something like that. But for me, I would say the things that I kind of had to go through, it wasn't as easy as for anybody else. Since I've been targeted because of some things that I did not want to explain, but I've got people who's been on me, and they definitely know exactly what I've been dealing with. My mind specifically, my mind definitely when I struggled just to keep a healthy memory when I suffered from that kind of lifestyle that I once lived. Also, I've been dealing with some other matters which I don't want. But the moment I realized, the moment I became sober, if I ever was keen and willing, and if I ever was someone who was trying, because I've shared my time with some people as we were gathering for fellowship. If there was a I don't want to talk about it anyway. That was before that, when we used to gather together and when we used to have sermons and things like that, when we used to gather to listen, we used to hear ministers and those who wanted to once preach, and the way they used to try and explain themselves. They did me something which they thought of me in such a way. They've spoken about something, to be honest, it left me very sad, because I used to straight away, I used to feel like it's like someone must have reached and said something, and words used to reach out to them. And if there were ever time, if I ever remember this one time when they spoke directly, they've directed their words towards me. I don't want to talk specifically. I don't want to put some people in that. That's why I'm sure they've regretted it for thinking like that, for straight away accepting or believing something which I had to remind them of later. But yeah, I would say just remember this. It started when I remember I was at home at one time. While I was experiencing all these issues, I remember at one time I was at home, and I remember it was during, I'm not too sure, it was nighttime, but I must have felt very sad. like, what's wrong with these people? Why are they like that? Like, I can feel it, but I can't say, because some people were just like thinking, no, you're thinking too much. Or if I ever was someone, some people, I never wanted to share, never wanted to talk about some things like that specifically. Just so that way they don't get to make things much more worse by going around, reaching out and trying to make it. But I've took notice of some people, what they were trying to do. But some people must have misunderstood. Some people, I could say, they thought they knew what they were doing, but they gone now, don't worry about it. But I started with one of, like, I would say, I'll remind you of this specific verse which is written in the Bible. Elijah the Tishbite, Elijah the Tishbite, the Elijah who confronted Ahab because of his harsh treatment of God's people. Or it wasn't actually as what I would say as what has been described as Ahab, but it was more like between. But there was some things you may go and read and try to find out. But I'll be honest with you. I remember I had a vision, I had a dream one day. I was sleeping, I'm not quite sure, because of the place. Also, where I used to stay, for some reason God warned me of that place where I was staying. Because of some people who chose to remain quiet and live in secret while they were there, nearby, as I would say, next door people, where, like I would say, in that street where I was. I remember getting up. Before I ever got up, I was sleeping, like I was deeply in that sleep, which I got up and I remember saying it with all my heart, sad as if though I was mourning. I was like weeping when I called upon the name of Elijah. And I must say, in Aramaic, I spoke, and I swear, the moment I mentioned it, a sound of a thunderstorm that was like almost heard globally. I promise to God. It sounded like from almost far away, but it's like it was a sound. It wasn't as much as when it's close, when it's like over, let's just say, for example, when there's a thunderstorm over an area. No. It sounded like normally those thunderstorms that you would definitely hear, that that it's like it's over almost the entire state, or like, who knows, maybe. But I would say definitely there was a sound, that sound which it made me, unless I was feeling sorry, and I'm not, I called it, I'm not, I said, how can I describe it? I remembered, or I'm not quite sure, the moment I said it, and that's what happened, and that's when it picked up, and it's been years now, and it's like today I just had to remind myself of this and how everything started, because I was misunderstood by a lot of people, but it doesn't matter, let them think whatever they think. But I've had moments when I've seen vision somewhere. It's like in the old times, man. I swear to you, I'm not just trying to make that. I don't want to say something just so that way I don't get to fool myself with what I'm seeing. But I've seen somewhere, it's like somewhere in time. I remember even trying, like the structure of that place and where I was, for God's sake, I mean it. Like brick structure and things, like I would say old city somewhere. I was like, or the infrastructure of that, how can I say it? The design of that property, the way it seemed like, as if it was like I was at home there. I was at home. I know it's like me there, and I was there, and I was going, like I was trying to go and have a shower. And I remember when I was having a shower, promise, I even knew where it was and how I wanted to, like, basically prepare for when like the way the old, how can I say, a pipe was sticking out through the, a roof, or coming from the wall, brick like wall, this and that. It was like just above, but water used to stick out of it. I cannot describe, but I don't want to sound very stupid when I'm saying those things, but I promise. Like the way, and I remember even when they at a door of that place where it was, it's like half a door. Like you can see that from down bottom and from top. Like it's not fully a door that covers the entire frame. No, it's like just a door anyway. I've even remembered that some people I know or someone I remember even they're waiting for me. Like just so that I'm finished, like normal as normal life. I promise to God, like normal, and I'm just like. Then I remember telling them, "Hey, what are you doing?" Like that. I can't remember what they're trying to say. Waiting, and it seemed like someone who's very familiar, but I can't describe as exactly who they were, to be honest. But I remember even coming to meet some of them, and as speaking, I remember a person. One of them was a girl. I swear to you, I promise to God, a girl that I've actually known, and as they were coming trying to introduce themselves to me, and she said something, and I remember, I can't remember, yeah. I've met them once, I remember, yeah. I shouldn't even say some things like that because I'm probably saying some things which I shouldn't, maybe talking too much, but just this morning when I got up, I do trust me, and I've suffered from some nightmares as well, if I could say. But that has been overcome already. God has kept me firm in my belief, believe me. But now it's like I want to say thank you for allowing me to sit here and say and share. And yeah. Once again, have you noticed everywhere you go, there's like plenty electronic devices that are like just, yeah, it's like as if I wouldn't be honest, like I wouldn't even use a mobile phone if I would say. I would just use a cell phone, and most of the time I would have just used laptop. And I would have probably used those old phone that is connected, which is house line, you know what I mean? Keep those there just for phone call, and the rest, because it does, I'll be honest, it is so distracting sometimes. It consumes your hours during the day. It does, gives you that kind of hangover, like once you get to spend so much time, and when you like especially. But I would say a lot of work I could have done, I could have do it in much more better way if I had the ability. I would have just continued using the laptop or use just the kind of big iPad, things like this. It's just so that work that can be done online, and that's it. Otherwise I wouldn't just, yeah, because it's becoming nonsense, to be honest. Like look, if you get, what is it all about? Well, just because of social media, like I mean, how can I describe it? Just more that I was ever expecting, making it like horrible for a lot of people, especially children who are grown up, like trapped in apps, trapped in almost every app that you have to download, and just what the freaking hell? Like I mean, what's going on here? You don't need all this. Believe me. Be sober, be wise. Like don't. I mean, maybe you misunderstand, but it's good that these smart devices that were created. But I mean, look how they made it. Every year you have to upgrade and just use. I mean, the latest one, and that which makes it much more worse. You're stuck there. You're in there in that kind of cell phone device that you've been using, forgetting about everyone, ignoring everyone, just like whatever that I sometimes struggle even to even like any of those. I don't even comment, like, or whenever I'm online or whatever I'm viewing, whatever I'm streaming or whatever I'm listening to. I sometimes try to relax myself to some instrument, but even that I don't want to rely on, to be honest, because frequencies and vibes can have an effect in a very negative way. Once you get used to something, be careful. You start dreaming. Dear Lord. Okay, everyone, thank you.